Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and it's my pleasure to be here this morning at the HCL Connect event. HCL has a long connection with Nokia. Nokia has been in this country for 16 years. We're a very young company in this country, and Nokia has been our distributor through all these 16 years. It's one of the rare cases where two partners have come together over a period of time to do something magnificent and different for the Indian economy. So they've been one of our most valued partners globally, and they have a high place in all Nokia hearts and all Nokia minds. So thank you, Ajay, thank you, Harsh, for inviting me here. The topic I was asked to cover is transforming lives, inclusive growth. Inclusive growth, to my mind, is a very simple concept. First, we need to educate a number of people. Second, we need to provide avenues of employment for them. Third, we need to take care of their health and well-being. Fourth, we have to ensure that they participate in the formal economy, not just the informal economy. And finally, we need to ensure that the governance and the rules apply to everybody so that the system benefits and society at large moves forward. The world has 7 billion people today. Let's look at technology and what's happening to the world and 7 billion people. In these 7 billion people, the world has 1 billion PCs, 2 billion television sets, and 5 billion mobile phones. No technology in the world has permeated to such an extent in such a short time. Mobile technology is all of 20 years old. Commercial mobile technology is all of 20 years old, 1990 onwards. In 20 years, this category has achieved penetration which is equivalent to food, clothing, air, water. That's what it's achieved in 20 years. So, if you want to transform lives, especially of emerging markets and third world countries, you necessarily have to think about a technology called mobility to see how can it enable all the areas that I discussed. Now, 5 billion is the global number. Let's look at what's the India number. India has about 600 million unique users of mobility and about 850 million subscribers. Again, by far, the largest penetrated category for Indians, apart from the traditional ones I mentioned, which is food, clothing, water, etc. For me, the mobile phone is the best vehicle to inform, to empower, to modify attitude and change behavior. Let's look at 4 sectors specifically, where I believe we can do a lot between mobility and inclusive growth. First, let's look at banking. Consumers today, for financial instruments, pay something like 5% for remittances via post office and things like that. That's a very high price. Can the consumer afford to pay 5%? The answer is no. It's too high a price for him. For the consumer, we are talking about in terms of inclusive growth. Next, the cost of setting up a branch can run anything from 50 lakhs of rupees to a crore of rupees. And finally, we have many disbursements which are happening through the government of India. By government estimates alone, at least a fourth of that or a 40% of that is leaked out. So what can mobility and what can we do in that area? First, we can ensure that there's dramatically a higher improved availability of all financial services. Second, we can dramatically lower costs. Third, the amount of time saved. Next, every time an economy has moved from cash to something which is a substitute, commerce has grown. That's true of credit cards, and I believe it will be even more true of mobile banking in this country. And finally, the most important point of all, you can customize the product. You can customize the product, you can tailor the product to the person you want. I know I'm preaching to a lot of the converted here. The government has done a lot. Let me first say that the government has done a lot. I think they've safeguarded all the right interests. I think we need to move much faster, and some of the regulation will evolve as we go forward. Next, education. We have a little under 20% of the global population, but we have 40% of the world's illiterates in this country. So, in April 2010, the government put out a very fundamental act called the Right to Education Act, which promised every single child in the age group 6 to 14 at least 8 years of schooling. That's fantastic. Very, very good. So, how can mobile learning help? We have amazing content in this country. Okay, we have pioneered open universities before most of the countries. It's the lowest cost way to serve education. It's a way, think about when we talked of banks and we talked of money, we talked of anytime money. I would like to use the same concept and talk about anytime school or anytime college. The choice is now with the student to learn and unlearn anytime he wants. He doesn't need to go to a physical school to meet a physical teacher in order to learn anymore. It's the ultimate low-cost business model if we can do this. Second, we can tailor it in the language we want across the country. That's the other benefit of spreading this. Third, the mobile phone and M-learning gives us the ability to do things in an audio-visual way. And the whole concept of this can be in any form factor. It can be on the mobile phone. It can also be on a tablet. Today, kids go to school with 10 textbooks and 10 notebooks in their haversack. Tomorrow, a kid can go to school with one tablet, nothing more. He doesn't need those 10 books. A lot can transform. Okay? The whole concept of learning can be fun with this audio-visual element thrown in, whether it's a mobile phone or a tablet. Okay. This can be a big fundamental game changer for this country as we get more people into the education stream. Next, let's look at health check. The total market for health in this country is about 45 billion. It's pretty big. We have 1 hospital bed per 1,000 people. That's very low. So, what are the benefits of going mobile with health? And I can give you a number of examples that are already happening in this country. Education and awareness. Education about smoking, about cancer, about HIV, about diabetes, anything you can think of. One of the biggest challenges of health today is most people don't know that they suffer from something, or don't know that these are the symptoms of something, or don't know that if some information was given, I can act on it and be better tomorrow. A simple act of education and awareness can change a lot. Second, a challenge with health is data collection. Remote data collection is a big challenge. With mobility, you can ensure that you collect the data anywhere in the country at a fraction of the cost we use from a physical model. Third, digital monitoring. Very true for elderly people. I know that one of the biggest concerns of the brain drain we've had, people who moved to America, when I speak to them, they say, my biggest concern, Shiv, is I have aged parents sitting in Bangalore or Chennai, etc. I'm not sure that they're taking their medicines or whatever it is at the right point of time. I wish there was a mechanism which could help me. We have 7 to 8% of our population aged above 60. We don't have sufficient care facilities for them or sufficient infrastructure for them or anything of that sort. There are some, let's take entrepreneurs in the south of India who have actually taken this on to remind parents of people who are staying in America and Europe, etc., for them to take their medicines at the right time with the right dose, etc. And if they don't do that, then they dispatch somebody to that house to say, hey, what's happened? Why didn't you, call back, or why didn't you respond to the SMS I sent or the phone call I made? Okay, so this whole thing of digital monitoring of what a person needs to be going through in terms of a dosage is very easily done. Next, in the health industry, training for the health industry is very, very critical. And that, the physical cost of training in that industry is humongous. Okay, and digital can play, and mobility can play a very big role. And finally, the tracking of any epidemic outbreak. That's something which can easily be done here. Okay, so there are lots of, let's say, immense benefits which mobility can bring into the health sector. Agriculture. 14% of India's GDP. At one time, more than 50%. But the challenge with agriculture is, even though it's 14% of India's GDP, it accounts for 50% of the workforce. Okay. Every time I've gone into rural India, we have a population of more than 200 million young people in rural India. Every time I talk to them, discuss with them, they don't want to be farmers. They want to get into a service job. The dividing line between success and making some money in agriculture and losing it is very, very thin because of all the things which can go wrong, starting with the weather. Okay? So all these people live on a knife's edge in the agriculture crop planning process. So any information to help them live better and ensure that you take the risk out of the system is most welcome from these gentlemen. So the most important one is timely information. Timely information on two dimensions: speed of information and the quality of information. Today, our backend system working in Bangalore, we track all the mandis across the country. We have some of the best agri experts working with us. 2/3 of the time, the government information in the mandi is correct and the same as the Nokia information. 1/3 of the time, the Nokia information is more accurate than the government information. But that's not the point that Nokia is in it for. We actually work with the government to improve their mechanism to ensure that they are also as reliable. So when we go to the government and tell them, in this mandi your information is off, then they start talking to the people and saying, why is it that we have not the best information? Okay, so timely information is the most crucial ingredient for a farmer out there today. In ending, I would say, if I were to look at the next 10 years, the case for mobility will be, today we have 850 million subscribers. In 2020, we'll have 1.5 billion subscribers. In terms of penetration, national penetration, today we have 71%. By the year 2020, we'll have 100% penetration. Almost everybody you can think of will have a mobile phones in their hands. So if you want to deal with them, banking, agriculture, health, education, there is no better vehicle, no better instrument than to use the mobile phone to do it. The reason why this will work is, it will be the ultimate low-cost model, number one. It will be the ultimate high customization model, number two. And it will be a solution in the hands for the person to use, seek, whatever he wants to do, anytime he wants. And that's the reason I believe on those three dimensions, this technology and what it can offer can truly ensure that we have significantly more inclusion and empowerment as we become an economic superpower by the year 2030. So that's all I have to say, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for being here, and it's a pleasure putting this together for you.